to you. A very good evening to you and welcome to Powerbrief on this day, the 11th day of the month of February, the year 2021. And tonight we look into something that is happening currently in the country, and that is a purge that is being witnessed at the Jubilee Party of Kenya. We are seeing Irungu Kang'ata having lost his seat to Kimani Wamatangi due to what the party leadership termed as disloyalty to the party terms and conditions of work. Remember, this conversation is also live on our Facebook page, CAC TV Kenya. YouTube is CAC TV Kenya, and you can also engage us on our SMS number, that is 22167. And tonight we're joined by Honorable David Sudi, who is a party leader of the New Democrats and is also a former MP for Marakwet West constituency and a former assistant minister in various ministries. Cyrus Litso will be joining us in a while, and Honorable Kioni has not made it to studio tonight, but we'll have to continue with our discussion. Keep it on CAC TV. Mheshimiwa, welcome to our show tonight. It's been a while since you're here. How is your new year?
Thank you, and happy new year to every few who is watching us tonight. And I'm happy that on this first day of, on this 11th day of February, you have invited me to the studio. And I'm happy to be back here once again.
Many thanks. Now, tonight we're looking into something that is happening in the country and been happening ever since. And briefly, maybe before we go into looking into what is happening, what are the remedies, and also the current discussion of the Building Bridges initiative and how can it be a cure to what is happening as at now. Let's try to look at a comparison of the performance of multipartyism, that is having many parties, and single party state, that is during the Moi era and also during the Kenyatta era. You are part of the leaders who served in Moi era. How is your comparison between the two?
When the multiparties came in, we found it to be more challenging because initially we had one leader who was leading us. The challenges of multiparties, everyone thinks on his own. And we have 42 tribes in Kenya. And now there are 67 political parties. Each of them having their own decisions. So if we can reduce these political parties to maybe 2-3, it will do good for Kenyans. But we have left it to run on its own, and that is where we are. The rain started beating Kenya when at the independence we adopted, Kenya political parties adopted images of creatures created by God as symbols of political parties. And then down the line, the people start again bowing or worshipping again those images and their idols. And this is where the problem is.
But of late we are having wheelbarrow. Anyway, we'll come into that in a short while. Welcome Mr. Cyrus Litso on our show tonight. And we're looking into this matter of political parties' hygiene, or the discipline, as they're saying, adherence to the party rules and structures, and at the same time promoting democracy in the country. And Mheshimiwa was just giving his overview between the performance of multipartyism that we're experiencing as at now and the former, where we had a single party state. You remember Moi at some point talked of hii party munataka sana multipartyism itakuja vunja vunja inji. So how can you compare the two from where you sit?
Thank you, Cornelius. It's been a long time. Thank you, Shimwatu. Now, when you talk of the one-party state, that was autocracy. Now, when we talk of now democracy, mfumo wa vyama vingi, the thing that was being introduced in 1992, when some of us were still young, but we ought to understand what was going on in our country, because some of us have been following politics since then, because politics is part of let me say it's like a backbone of our country. Yes, democracy or the multi-party system came with its own challenges. And what Moi said spoke the truth, that whatever you are yearning to have, it will be based on tribalistic. It's going to cause tribal war. It's going to bring discrimination based on tribes. And true to that, the problem with the people who are championing for multi-party is one. It's that they didn't focus much on institutionalization of the political parties. When you look at the KANU, the way it was those days, it was a political party with offices in all the entire country, number one. Number two, it had, let me say, leadership up to the grassroots. Okay? But now, when these other parties came, it was just what I usually say, brick-face parties, whereby it's where a party, someone has a party, and he uses it to bargain for his own benefits. That's what is always there. Then we've come up to another level, whereby we now want to create regional kingpins. Regional kingpins, whereby I believe I own a party, so and so party. So this party, when it comes to general election, I need to do business with it. We are forgetting a lot of things. That when we form political parties, it's either we clinch power or we be in opposition to be a government in waiting. So that's what you forget.
Many thanks, Mr. Cyrus.
Before you just cut me short. When you look at now the 1997 elections, which were based on, let me say, Ford, Kenya, the Mamata, that was Gilu, it was just based on, let me say, regional areas. When you look at KANU, it was all over the country. But now when you look at these other small parties, let me say, the party for so and so, it was in this region. Party for and so, or this tribe and this tribe, they come together, they form. But it lacks what you call national outlook. And when the 2010 constitution came into action, when we promulgated the 2010 constitution, we were looking at healing such a things. Because we have the Act of Parliament, and Mheshimiwa can also, I stand to be corrected by that, or be guided by it. We have what was brought in place, what you call the Political Parties Act. This Political Parties Act was to bring sanity and institutionalize our political parties. But the institution itself has not done so. Why? Because because of the external forces that we have, okay, that are the institution itself, it does not perform its function constitutionally the way it's supposed to perform, but it is under remote control. So these are the problems that have been developing our country when it comes to political parties. So that's what we need to look into.
Now, what Mr. Liswa said, Mheshimiwa, and I'm glad you're here because you served in the KANU regime, and currently KANU is still existing, but you're running another political party, that is a New Democrats. Are you agreeing with him or disagreeing with him? What really motivated you now to abandon KANU, which is a party which was a party with structures across the country, that is an independent party, and came up with the New Democrats?
Yeah, what you said is partly correct, but the real problem which I highlighted to you at the beginning, that the rain started beating Kenyans at when we adopted images of creatures created by God as symbols of political parties, whereby you went in and bow. I remember when I was in KANU, KANU, the symbol is a cockerel. When you say Naomba Serikali itusaidie ABCD, Naomba is a form of worship. God has used me this era. Macu, this time, this is the 12th parliament. God created the number 12 when he created the world, and he divided day and night of 12 hours. So number 12 is a big one. When it reaches 12, it starts one again. That's what you can see also, even time, when the clock goes round, when it's just 12, you start one and go on. Even the year, when it's just 12, you start again. And that is where we are failed as human beings. we are in danger this time because this is the 12th parliament. And we know from the Bible, because we have to rely, because the politicians are relying on their own understanding. Unlike Moi used to read the scriptures and follow what was happening in Israel. How was God leading the people? The current politicians, they're relying on their own understanding. That is where we fail. However, I'm happy that we have institutions like churches which have come and they have now own studios like this, and they can communicate to the people, they can reach the masses. So it's very important that the message which I have, because God has located me and has sent me to tell Kenya message. And I'm happy that you have given me this opportunity.
Now, we want to look into the Political Parties Act that is of the year 2011 that Mr. Cyrus has talked about, and also you as we began. We've seen these things happening where members of a certain political party, the recent one, you've seen the 6 senators, nominated senators being expelled from the party, having showed loyalty to a competing party, that's Jubilee, and then they're talking of the UDA or UDA as it's being pronounced outside there. And after that, they ran to court. The court has put those orders to stop any other further procedures. And to begin from your end, Mr. Cyrus, don't you think there is a problem with this law? Because how practical is it that we have a member of parliament who is either nominated or elected, but this person goes ahead to pledge their loyalty to another party, then they continue just operating like that?
We don't have a problem with the law. The problem we have are the individuals who are there to guard and ensure the law is well followed. The parliamentarians are the lawmakers. They are the one who came with that act. The Political Parties Act is a parliamentary act that was that came into place in 2011. Okay. Now, the reason why we came up with that, the Parliament came up with that act was to manage what we call political prostitution. I can term it that way, whereby you are here today, tomorrow you are there. It was just to bring political sanity within our political parties. This one demonstrates how we disrespect our own institutions. We come up with institutions, but we never respect our own institutions. Each and every political party got its own constitution, manifesto, policies, code of conduct, all of those. But when you look into each and every of these political parties, none of the politicians, especially the ones in parliament, the ones in the county assembly, follow the rules in the constitution. And that's where I said and stated earlier on that the Political Parties Act office is a remote control office. It does not act with the guidance of the Constitution and the act that was passed by the parliamentarians in 2011 in order to restore sanity or to bring sanity within our political parties. Because these political parties should be institutions. How before UDA became a political party, there are those guidelines that are enshrined in the Constitution. A political party should have at least offices in 24 or 25 counties. Something I'm very sure even UDA has not achieved upon its registration. So this is where the things now start going wrong. But if things start going right at inception, then we'll be able to control our institutions. Secondly, our own politicians, when they get into, let me say, parliament, or they get to whatever position they want to get into, then they forget what they used to get there. They forgot the bus that made them arrive there. They forget their own manifestos. They forget their own code of conduct. And that's even they forget when they get to parliament to serve the common mwananchi. Because if we can instill discipline in these political parties, then Kenya will achieve a lot. Look at, for example, CCM of Tanzania. Okay? When before we get a flag bearer, okay, it is never a scuffle, it's never a what. They know how they prepare themselves. Let us go to South Africa, ANC, okay. Let us look how they carry out their things. If ANC wants to impeach President Ramaphosa, the way they impeached President Zuma, they don't need to force themselves to parliament. They will do it through the political party. And they will impeach the president, and the president will go home. Okay? If Tanzania wants to impeach their president, it is still the same way. It will go through the political party, their political party, CCM. Then, you see, then that's where integrity starts. Okay? So, when you ignore your political party because of a political intolerance that we have within ourselves, then that is how we fail. In this country, be at it may, we only have one person who has practiced political sanity. That was Raila Odinga. In the year, that was Raila Odinga.
We were really getting into that history. Yes. Before you get into that, thank you, because you've read my mind very fast. Mheshimiwa, I think it was in the 7th Parliament, which you served, when Raila had disagreements with Wamalwa in the famous Thika Stadium, and Wamalwa ran away. I don't know, he ran away with the party or he overcame Raila by then.
And
Raila had to come up with his own party, that is NDP. He resigned and came up with his own party,
National Development Party.
Why haven't we ever had people following the same precedent up to today? Did the law force him to resign, or he resigned out of a principle? You can tell us very well, because we're in that parliament. Mr. Liso, I think by then was still somewhere in primary school.
Yes, it is true. What he's saying actually is very correct. That we don't follow principles. We put the laws down, and we don't follow those laws are the guidelines. Most parliamentarians are selfish, and they don't get, and immediately they are elected, they forget about the person who elected them, and they forget. They look at their own interests first. I don't know, because is it because we are Africans or what it is? I really don't understand. However, all is not lost. One person like Raila, who fought for democracy for a long time, is one person who stands on his own principles. And if something is wrong, he will say this is wrong. And he has no apologies for it. And he suffers the consequences, and he doesn't, and sometimes he survives. Well, it is true, he resigned this Langata parliamentary seat and contested and won again. That's a man who with principles. Because when he went to parliament, he saw that these people are not doing the right things. But he was alone among the many other MPs. Majority of them, they're not principled. That's where we go wrong.
Thank you, Mheshimiwa. Now, before we go very far, there's something that Mr. Liso has really beaten around the bush. You've not really answered it. I have posted this question, that this is a situation where Party X has got members who have started siding with another party, for instance, the New Democrats, and then members of another party are siding with him while they were elected or nominated with this party. Now, you've talked of the party itself instilling discipline, maybe by expelling them. So what next? After expelling like the 6 senators, you see the courts have come in to put an order stopping that process until other mechanisms are approached.
You see, we seek interpretation of the law through the judiciary.
Which is actually their mandate constitutionally.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
But to some extent also we are misguided by the same judiciary. Because when we want to restore sanity, let us restore sanity in the best way, the way it's supposed to be. Okay? Because I believe if today I'm the New Democrats, okay? And I subscribe to the ideology of a New Democrat. When I set my foot in Parliament or the county assembly, okay? When I articulate my issues, my first reference is the ideology of my party. Okay? That's my first reference. And that's why the political parties have manifestos. That's why we set manifestos during the campaign period. So when I refer to the ideology of my political party, then I support the ideology of my political party that I subscribe to with the constitution. Okay? Then that is how it's supposed to be. And when I go astray, why should I not be expelled? Expulsion is a must when you go astray. Because if we don't do that, and even the Political Parties Act is very clear.
So, Mr. Liswa, on that part, before I lose you,
yes.
When Tuju, the Secretary General for Jubilee,
yes.
Made the decision on behalf of the party,
yes,
to expel these members, what was the ultimate results that they were expecting? Now, you've expelled Liswa as a nominated MP. What next?
You see, when you are expelled as a member of parliament by your party, you need to seek a fresh mandate.
No, these are nominated
now,
members.
When they're expelled, okay, and it goes through, because I believe that window, the 14-day window to explain to why, to give a report back to the political tribunal, the political party tribunal itself. Then
in the system, these are a very clear case, because these are it's infighting between political parties, factions in Jubilee. So there are, we don't know how the political parties law acts, because they're the same, they're under the same umbrella, but they're fighting inside. This one saying, I'm moving to this party, this one's moving to this party.
Which actually they've gone. When you look at the Kabuchai by-election, we have the decision that was made by the Jubilee Party pertaining that by-election. But you see there is this faction called UDA, which is part of the Jubilee Party. When you go to Matungu, there's still the same case. You saw also what happened in Msambweni.
Then I want to say it this way. Then the president, because he's the leader of the party, should follow what Maraga said. These parties, I mean, these 12 parliaments should be dissolved, so that all parties can go back to the election.
That's not the solution, Mheshimiwa. If we look at it, Mr. Liswa, and also with Honorable Sudi here, when you dissolve parliament, there is a problem. Fire has been lit in the house. Then you go and pick dry wood like this one, and then turn on a jaza Jew that you want to hide that fire. Finally, all the firewood will go down. Is it even the solution, or it's now from frying pan to fire, Mr. Liswa?
It is frying pan to the fire, because one, the good thing with our parliamentarians, with our politicians, they come up with the law, okay? After coming up with the law, that they cannot themselves respect one or the other, they try to bend the law. But the challenge, the problem that comes is they bend the law too much to a breaking point. And when you reach a breaking point, there was one, when Jubilee was formed in 2017, coming to the 2017 election, it was not formed on principles of, let me say, any principles that were meant to govern the country in the right direction. It was formed on the principles that we need to win. That's why we need to amalgamate all these parties, come and form one thing. Okay? And if that was the point, UDA is not a political party in Jubilee. From my understanding, UDA just it was GPD what? The one Tuju had, but it didn't dissolve to be solved by Jubilee. But now this one I just taken it because the logo is different and the other logo is very different. So these are different political party with a different ideology. Let us first agree on that. A different ideology. So when these people have been suspended, okay, they need to leave the office. They need to leave they vacate the offices. Then other people are nominated. That's the procedure. Other people should be nominated after these ones have been suspended because the party list is still there. They will still follow the party list as it was. The way it was submitted to IEBC during the election, the election time. So the people who are now following them are the ones to be nominated
to take over
from them. Now, that's how it's supposed to be.
Before we go for a quick commercial break, there's something here that Honorable Sudi, you'll have to help us understand. Because as an elder, you've viewed this matter of the handshake, how it came about, how the president and the former prime minister have been talking of building bridges, coming together. Now, a number of these, the so-called rebel members of parliament and senators from the Jubilee Party are talking of the head of state is actually cooperating with someone from another party that is the opposition. The other side also are talking of Raila himself, that is Aisha Jumwa, talking of Raila is cooperating with the Jubilee Party, that's the ruling party. And then we as the children in the house, when we go to the neighbor also to socialize, we are being canned. What is your understanding on that? Are they right, or chenye Baba Mesema, and Baba in this case is both President Uhuru Kenyatta and former Prime Minister?
Okay.
Should the parents relate and then the kids now to follow what the parents tell them?
Both of them are wrong because Kenya is now facing two things. A constitutional crisis and a political crisis. If the political crisis is not solved, the constitutional crisis will set in, and Kenya will be it will be bad because we've ignored, using politics, we've ignored the constitutional crisis. Yet, when you are suspended or when you are thrown out of the party, you go again to court to claim that I was unfairly whipped. The courts will interpret the law, and that's where the constitutional crisis will be. However, all is not lost. Kenya, the driver is one, is the president, and the steering is one. It's only that when the right prime minister entered into Jubilee or through the handshake, it brought in a lot of it. They thought that he is cooperating with Raila, and the other people felt that they are being thrown out. What I can advise the president to do is to hold the steering and to steer the country into the right direction. Without
listening to the conductor, we shall come back into that. We take a quick commercial break. And tonight we are looking into the political party's hygiene. That is the discipline, the purge that we are witnessing versus democracy. Is it possible to actually exercise democracy in our political parties without probably causing chaos and all these exchange of words that we've been witnessing? Honorable David Sudi is a party leader of the New Democrats, and Mr. Cyrus Litswa, who is a policy and a political analyst. And together we are looking into this matter that keeps on repeating itself after each and every general election, where you see parties talking of errand members, rebel members. Keep it on CAC TV. As we come back on the second part of the show, we'll look into some of the solutions into this matter, and how also the Building Bridges initiative, that is the bill, how is it recommending, especially on matters to do with the party's discipline.
Family is God's greatest masterpiece.
And I do not know why the Bible says that a woman will be divorced for immorality, but it is silent on whether the man should be divorced for immorality.
You don't choose your family. They are a gift to you. But what are the challenges facing our families today?
This child can be sexually molested within marriage.
So anytime he comes home at 2 a.m., just go to your knees. Now, you lose your husband, you're not going to gain him.
Many of them have gotten messed up because you want to meet your needs.
Here on Transforming Families, we delve into matters that are difficult.
What do children think when they see that mom has 2 other lovers?
Viewed as hard and confusing in marriages and families.
There's a time you used to be in, huyo ni bibi ya DC. And people will not touch bibi ya DC. Huyo ni bibi ya chief. Huyo ni mke wa mwalimu.
Don't miss Transforming Families, Saturdays at 8 p.m. only on CAC TV.
What is praise and worship? Worship, from a Hebrew word, means to bow down. The whole team need to be dedicated to the Spirit of the Lord, not practicing as separate entities.
Hallelujah, nitasifu kufika mbinguni. Oh, sana nitaingia kwa shangwe, nitaingia mimi. Nitaingia lango lake na sifa moyoni, nitaingia kwa shangwe kuu.
Welcome back, and many thanks for keeping it here on Powerbrief on CAC TV. Tonight we are looking into this matter of the political parties' hygiene versus democracy. That is a rule for the people and by the people. And we are actually revisiting past encounters, just the recent ones that have happened this week, where the ruling party continues to expel certain members whom they deem are not following the party rules, or they are being disloyal. Before we went for a quick commercial break, Mr. Liso and also Honorable Sudi, there was a proposal that had been brought about concerning how these matters can be approached, that a party constitution can decide to do something. But when you look at it, you realize that after the party has decided something within its mechanisms, the law of Kenya talks of that the constitution is supreme. It is supreme over the New Democrats Party. It is supreme over church constitution. It is supreme over any other constitution. How will that even be realized? Or is it a pipe dream that you're trying to suggest?
Thank you. You see, each and every institution has its own guidelines. For example, CAC is an institution. And when CAC decides to do away with its members, okay, it has followed its own guidelines. What courts always do, they issue an injunction to do a comparison between the law of the land and the law of the institution. What it says. And when an institution comes up with its own law, it does not borrow notes from other places. It borrows notes from the same law of the land that we have. Okay? So, what the court does is just, it takes its own time to review the party's constitution in manner in which you, so and so has been expelled, and then it goes and looks into the law of the land. Then where the rubber meets the road, an action is always taken. The only challenge that we have, that I've always seen with our own courts, they take long time to issue directions on such a matter. Yeah. Such a matter should be handled expeditiously, okay, so that we can understand in one way or the other how we should work. Secondly, is that when we come up with our own institutions, each and every political party has its other offices. You hear of Secretary for What and What, Secretary for legal representation within the party, Office of the elections and whatever, to manage the elections. All these offices are there, a replica of what we have at the national level within our constitution. So, when an expulsion is made, yes, others are made in an atmosphere of bad faith. Okay, but others are made in an atmosphere of good faith. So the only thing that we need to do is, when that time comes to dispense justice, should be done as quick, should be treated as an urgent matter.
This one brings us to something here, Liswa and Honorable Sudi, about the systems or the structures of government. Currently in Kenya we have this which is called the presidential system, and a few days ago while Raila was campaigning in Turkana, he talked of parliamentary system of government is the best in the world, and he said, he even gave examples of some of the countries that are really prosperous that are actually using the parliamentary system of government. And also in looking into this matter of the discipline in political parties, ensuring that people adhere to what they were elected for, adhering to what their parties is offering or directing them to do, Kenyan system, the presidential one, and the parliamentary one, according to you, if you are asked tomorrow to give a direction on that, which one will you tell Kenyans to embrace, if at all we are to promote these political parties' discipline?
Yes.
Or a hybrid?
Yes, thank you for that question. I will embrace the presidential system, because as the president of the country, you are leading. You are supposed to give guidance. I can give you an example between human anatomy and the political anatomy and the constitutional anatomy. Your head. You are the head of the house, the president, and the neck is the deputy president, and the chest are members of parliament. The heart is the county, and the left hand is the governor, and the right hand is the senator, and the womb is women rep, and the legs are MCS, and the feet where you are stepping are the voters, the people. Now, and that is why the next parliament is 13. 13 is a number. And that's why I'm saying I don't want my brother, William Ruto, to fight so much. Because he's the neck, the deputy president. There is no way the neck will succeed the president unless he gets out, so that they can contest. Yeah. He should get out of Jubilee, go out, and then he can contest on his own. But when he sticks inside, there is no way he will succeed, because no matter how popular he is, he will not, because the systems, the deep state is still inside, you know. So I'm telling him openly, even in the Bible, he has to. What is happening in Kenya now is biblical. Jubilee and Canaan, they were promised by Uhuru and Raila, and those are biblical words. Jubilee, at the year of Jubilee, means debts are cancelled. But have you seen debts in Kenya? They're skyrocketing. Debts are skyrocketing. Going to Canaan, land of Milikanani, the handshake was actually Raila handing over his power, his failed mission to take Kenyans to Canaan. And Uhuru should take that advantage, because we have got a bridge to go to Canaan. So we should move.
So according to you, before I get also Liswa's view or perspective over this, you prefer that it continues to be a presidential system of government, not the one Raila is proposing,
yes,
of having parliamentary, where we can have a prime minister, members of parliament, and also the president, and at the same time running one government.
Yes, I want presidential to continue, and that is
Mr. Liswa, on your side, this is their proponents who really say that the system that we're having right now has given the president more powers, and it's time to actually find a way of ensuring that power is spread, and also there is that accountability. That let's have a parliamentary system where we have the prime minister on this end and we have the president on this end, and at the same time that it will end up promoting discipline in execution of duties, and also these things that we are looking at it right now.
Cornelius, I will say this. There is nothing wrong with our current constitution. The only problem that I've always said, and I've always stated, and I keep on saying it, the implementation of the constitution was not made fully. The current constitution has not been fully implemented. Whatever is being brought on board, I don't know if it is a paper, I don't know if it is just something just going just to be added to be part of the constitution, or it's another constitution. Something that everyone outside there, I'm not thinking like a common mwananchi. I don't want to think like an elite or an educated person. I want to think like that common mwananchi who is confused about this BBI and the 2010 constitution. Are we doing, somebody asks, are we doing away with the 2010 constitution, or are we adding more power to the 2010 constitution? If you ask me today, there is BBI 1, BBI 2, and BBI 3. If you ask me today what the MCAs are debating on in the county assembly, is it BBI 1, BBI 2, or BBI 3? We don't know. Even you don't know.
So you are admitting from where you sit that there is total confusion and darkness.
There is nothing wrong with the constitution.
Repeating what has been repeated.
Yes, remember the people who are crying for whatever system to be in place are the same people who cried for this system to come. Remember, we had the Cliffy draft. We've had the Bomas draft, which was Wako draft, I believe. We've had people, and what we have today is the Naivasha thing. When people went to Naivasha and they came up with it. Okay? All these things, when you sit down and look at the Kilifi draft, when you sit down and look at the Bomas draft, and you bring them together, whatever was rejected is what is being brought to the people. Whatever we are experiencing, from my own understanding, is what you call a hypocrisy. Because I'm not satisfied to this point. Let me try another way. Okay? Of being relevant, of being outstanding and outshining. That's what I'm seeing. And this is what we call political intolerance. Okay? That we are experiencing in this country. And he stated it clearly that we are having two problems in this country. Political instability, political crisis, and constitutional crisis. And constitutional crisis is being brought up by the constitution that we have right now is not fully implemented. Remember when Charles Nachae was the chairman of the Commission for Implementation of the Constitution,
The CIC.
okay? When he handed over the work, he didn't even ask for an extension to complete his work. He handed over the work to the parliamentarians, okay? You see, and I had so many questions to ask the chairman, the parliamentary chairman of the committee for the Constitution, Jeremiah Kioni.
Unfortunately,
he has been unable to make it. But I had a lot of questions to ask him because it is Parliament that has failed us to where we are today. If the committee could have implemented the Constitution to the latter, then whatever we are experiencing right now, we could not be experiencing it. And that's the fact. So even if we change the Constitution today, okay, the way they want the Prime Minister, what and what, I'm telling you the truth, with the same people, the same human beings, living, if God gives us long life to live, we are still going to come back after 10 years, or after 8 years, or after 7 years, crying again.
Now,
because we have not been satisfied. The Constitution, no matter how you come up and change the Constitution, you never be satisfied. When elections have been held in America, okay, the Trump has gone home. When elections were held in Tanzania, Lissu went on his way, okay. When elections were held in South Africa, the number 2 was not Malema. Malema came number 3.
Number 3 there.
Another party there, Democrat something.
That's
came
the
number
DA,
2.
Democratic Alliance.
Yes. But they went home on their own. But whatever we're experiencing right now is like, no matter what comes in place, my desires are not satisfied. Okay? Even if we change today, whoever is fighting won't be the Prime Minister, won't be the President. So what does it mean? Are we still going back to fight? So what we need to do right now is to concentrate much on the implementation of the Constitution.
Thank you, Mr. Liswa. Now, our parting shot, there are 2 things here that all of us have witnessed as this week began. In summary, Mheshimiwa, looking into the car grants, that is the 2 million that the MCAs are going to receive to pass. It is alleged that it's connected with their impending role of passing this bill in the county assemblies. That is one. From there, it will go to the National Assembly and to the Senate, and then finally to the people. And the second thing is this: is it time for us to have only 2 political parties in Kenya? Like how it's happening in the United States, where you're either a Democrat or a Republican. So that when Liswa or Honorable Sudi is being viewed as is changing color from your color of your party, they'll just know that you're on the other side, not that people are speculating, or it's even easier for you to make a decision, you're either left or right. Is it time for us to have only 2 parties and anchored in the Constitution to avoid all these issues that we are witnessing in the country after every general election?
Yeah, it is true. We need to see into that. But before we reach there, you know, PPLC was created in the 2007-2008 post-election violence, and it's supposed to be guiding the country or becoming a link between registrar of political parties and IEBC. But in the process, we don't know what they are doing. They have not even come to assist. You could see even recently the chaos in Kisii, where political leaders are fighting on the stage. What will happen to common Mwananchi? We are seeing the same things are going to repeat itself. However, there is a party which is, if we all come, because we want to work to go to Ghana, and everyone to go to Ghana. God has given us a bridge. And the registration number of this party is 40. The writing is on the wall. Yet we don't. We want to rely on our own understanding without relying on understanding of God, who created you. So I'm telling the people, here is a party for you to, so that we can all go close to River Jordan. To go close to River Jordan to go to Canaan, the same way the Israelites did. And the registration number is 40.
Thank
which
you,
means
Mheshimiwa.
40 years.
Let's also hear from Mr. Liswa in a few seconds. Is it time we have only two parties? You're either on the left or on the right, or we continue having as many parties as possible, to an extent that you are calling some of them or majority of them to be briefcase parties?
Yes. The only way to deal with briefcase parties is adhere to the constitution, adhere to the acts that are passed by the parliament. Number one. Number two, the BBI that you are talking about, you want to pass about BBI, and you brought something that the car grants by the MCS. I take it like these are what we call arm twisting tactics by the government in order to get the votes. The government is very aware that BBI is a hard stuff to the people on the ground. They cannot pass it easily. They know it. So they are using arm twisting tactics. Why come up with such a things at the moment? Why couldn't you have given MCS grants a long time ago? Why are you giving them grants right now? These are goodies, just to make them happy, to pass the bill.
Yes.
So which means whatever you are forcing onto the people is not good, on the people, but pleasing yourselves. Number one. That's number two. Number three.
And summary, because our time is up.
Yes, that thing that I want to say is this. BBI has a lot of issues on it. We have constitutional issue that need referendum. We have policy issues, and we have legislative issues. There are three categories. So when I look into the policy issues that can be done in a policy way, even without even those things that you talk of, youth, those are policy things that need to be discussed and implemented. Where can they be done so that we see the goodness of BBI? When you talk of those legislative issues, where can the parliament discuss the legislative issues of BBI and then remain with the issue that is the constitutional issue that we need to go to a referendum to and work with it and tackle it there, so that we see the goodness of this? Because those policy issues and legislative issues, there are things that can be handled right now before the so-called referendum. There are these are just goodies, or these are just what you call bites, dangling a carrot, okay, to the common man or the donkey, to make the donkey come to you. So let us not be fooled. Let us understand what we are doing.
Many thanks, Honorable Sudi and Mr. Cyrus Litswa. That brings us to the end of our discussion tonight, where we have looked into all these matters concerning political parties, the hygiene, the discipline, and what the law says in matters regarding rebellious nature of some of the members of parliament and even senators. We have had this moment, and we appreciate your overwhelming responses on our social media platforms. For me, Cornelius Omuse, I wish you a very good night and see you next Thursday at the same place at the same time. Good night.